Hello and welcome to this month's astrological forecast. We're looking at the month of Scorpio as the sun is about to go from the Aries sign of Libra into the deep waters of Scorpio. It makes a significant climatic change at this time of year, and we're going to go deep within and start looking at our emotional side and facing our own demons. So Scorpio ruled by Mars and Pluto. Both of these are very strong masculine energies. Mars is the fiery warrior, the pioneer, the fire starter. So Mars gives us the courage and dynamism to actually go on this journey into our shadow side. Whereas Pluto, once we get there, is the lord of the underworld. He takes us on this journey so that we can find what's lurking beneath. Go and seek out everything that's in the darkest corners of ourselves, in our psyche, in our psychology, and face it head on this epic journey so that we can come out the other side cleansed and transmuted and transformed. The symbol for Scorpio is the scorpion, but it's also the snakes and the eagle. And the story here is quite an alchemical one, because the Scorpio represents our base instincts on the ground: stinging, retaliation, manipulation, protection and fear. But the story here goes that the scorpion is overcome when we raise the snakes of the Ida and the Pingala up our spine in a Kundalini ascension to open the pineal gland, which is symbolised by the eagle or the winged disc. So Scorpio is often represented as an eagle in its highest form, and the journey we're taking here is from base to crown, the ultimate alchemical story. So the journey that we're about to go on at this time of year, as the nighttime draws in and Halloween is upon us, is one of going deep within ourselves and transmuting whatever we find inside that's base, raising our spiritual energies and opening up to our higher selves. So Scorpio speaks of the death of the lower self in order that we can be reborn as the higher inner self. It's a phoenix-like alchemical transformation. The element we're dealing with here is water, but with Mars in the mix and Pluto, it feels more like hot water, feels more like a bubbling cauldron or an erupting volcano. So it's very powerful energy, but there's nothing to fear because it's ourselves that we're exploring here. So at this time of year, when we go towards Halloween, which is to do with honouring the ancestors, respecting the death cycle and those that have passed during the year, it's not so much about the fear and horror that's represented in the shops with the paraphernalia to do with Halloween, but it's more to do with being fearless and going within ourselves, cleansing out anything that's not serving us and giving a moment of reflection for the ancestors and those that have passed before we move on towards the Sagittarius energy next year. In the body, Scorpio is said to represent the sexual organs, and once again this tells us of the story of power, transmuting sexual power up to spiritual power. The crystals that resonate very well with Scorpio are hematite, smoky quartz and onyx. But the opposite side of Scorpio is Taurus. So if you're struggling, if you're needing a little bit more reassurance and comfort, then you could have a look at green aventurine and malachite and some of the more green nature-based crystals to bring that sense of comfort and harmony back into your life when things get a bit too much. So in Scorpio, what the full moon comes to represent is the opposite. So we have a full moon in Taurus on the 29th of October, and this brings up the opposite energy that the sun has been shining through for the rest of the month. So we've just got used to the Scorpio flavour, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have a full moon in Taurus at the opposite sign, which brings that part out of us for reflection, because that's what the full moon is. It's a time to reflect. So what we're doing here is we're reflecting on the life and death axis. We're reflecting on what's truly, simply, naturally good for us, and how to get back to that sense of nature, harmony, presence. Even when everything's become intense, psychological and mental, we can find comfort in the simple colours of flowers, or a walk in the woods, or communing with animals at the time of the full moon, when all of those emotions will be coming up. Our need for security, our need to feel grounded or safe as we go on this journey. So at the time of the full moon on the 29th of October, just before Halloween, we have a powerful energy in Taurus which will help us to reconnect, to centre, and to find the harmony and the goodness in life. So that's the full moon there. And then at the end of the month we have a Scorpio new moon. Now the new moon is when the sun and the moon are together, so this is double energy in Scorpio. Not only that, but it's a full solar eclipse, so we have almost 3 times the power of a new moon. And the new moon is to do with starting new projects. It's a 2-week window when we can tune into the double energy of the sun and the moon and begin things that are of a Scorpio nature. So by the 13th of November, this is the ultimate time to go in and do that spiritual soul searching, to find out whatever's not serving us on the lower levels, and through meditation and spiritual practice and deep self-exploration to transmute that energy to something that's higher, something more of the crown energy, and something that's more spiritually alive and aware. So there's a feeling here this month that we can go from dense and heavy, from fear, from the fear-based survivalist brain, and we'll be challenged with that at both the full moon and this new moon eclipse, in order that we can see the simplicity of who we really are and the importance of taking life on a more higher level, to get rid of the fears, to get rid of any manipulative, possessive or jealous behaviour patterns, to challenge those, because they weigh us down at the end of the day. And this is a year where we need to really be getting rid of everything that doesn't serve us, so that we can be light and strong and centred by the time we get to the winter solstice, which obviously this year is very important. So that's the story of this month. To recap, we have very, very powerful journeying into the underworld, the inner world, the real you, the you that you don't show anybody else. To test, what's my motivation? What am I actually creating here? Where do I hang on to attachment and drama? Where do I abuse my power instead of taking it deep inwards and transmuting it out to something more spiritual and magnetising more positive things towards me? So whether you use the crystals or colour meditations or just stay quiet and go deep within, there's no need for fear. It's yourself that you're facing. But the story here is this is the perfect time of year, especially the perfect time of this year, to go in and do the real shadow side work, so that when we come out the other side as the spiritual warrior that Scorpio is, we've mastered our lower self and we've been reborn as the higher self. So I hope that helps. Have a very powerful Halloween. Have a very powerful journey. Take the time to do this now, because the planets are with you, and we'll regroup when we get to Sagittarius.